Hey Deckers, one of the most wishlisted games of all time has now been released. Sons of the Forest is now available on Steam, although it did seem to crash Steam and the Steam store trying to purchase and download this. However, on Steam Deck stock, it's not a great experience. This is extremely graphically intensive, which is quite a surprise for a survival horror genre. But look, we are down into the 20s and this is on ultra low settings. So not a great experience out of the box, and you will get a hard crash if you play this stock after around 20 minutes. There's so much weird stuff in this game. I must admit I didn't play the first one, so I don't know if this sort of thing is normal with random creatures. But of course it's survival horror, so if you are stuck out at night without a decent light source, then you aren't going to see very much in the dark. And you're still only going to get around 20 to 30 frames per second. Roll on CryoUtilities 2.0. If you don't know about CryoUtilities, I'll drop a link in the description below to how to install this. After running this with the recommended settings and restarting my deck, at first it didn't look like it made a massive difference, but I was able to get my revenge on the local wildlife and get myself a decent snack. So I was able to play this much more smoothly, although it never goes above 30 frames per second and did still seem to dip down into the mid-20s range occasionally. It still felt a lot smoother, and even around the 25 frames per second mark, it didn't feel extremely stuttery and was still playable. So I think with the CryoUtilities, with ultra low settings as the default, don't bother using FSR 1.0 because it just looks absolutely hideous, especially once you've been playing a little bit without FSR. FSR 1 just ruins the experience in my book because it's just so blurry. It just doesn't look right. Although it does stabilize that frame rate a little bit, it's not enough to warrant the amount of washout and blur that it introduces. Unfortunately, the same effect happens really with the FXAA, so you do want to keep this on TAA. So my recommended settings for this at this time, although it does need some patches, is to run the ultra low preset, change the texture resolution, which will be on full down to half, as this really does cane your Steam Deck. Keep the anti-aliasing on TAA, so no dynamic resolution, and also turn off the film grain and the motion blur, and you will have a pretty good time. Now I did have to plug back in after running CryoUtilities because my battery was very low. You saw in the earlier sections, especially on the stock, it was pulling around 26 to 27 watts. So you're really only going to get about an hour to an hour and a half battery on this one. So you are want to keep a battery source pretty close, and that time will whittle away very quickly. So make sure you've got something like the auto suspend set up as well, because otherwise you'll find that battery just melting away. Once you get used to this game, it is extremely difficult because it's the survival genre. So if you haven't played the previous version and you haven't played something like Green Hell, then this is going to be a huge learning curve for you. Fortunately, I had my time in Green Hell, so I got used to the crafting mechanisms in this pretty quickly because they're very similar with the way of gathering and having the toolbook to make structures, etc. Although I did get jump scared a fair few times in this game because I just wasn't expecting some of the craziness that comes out at you, and also some of the random screams when it seems nicely quiet. Overall, once I had the CryoUtilities 2 recommended settings installed, this was pretty smooth. As I said, you're not going to get above 30 frames per second, but after around another hour of playing with the recommended settings, I didn't get any more hard crashes, and this is on the standard Proton as well. So hopefully they're going to give some more patches for this, which will increase the stability and hopefully give us a bit more graphical fidelity. But even on ultra low, this actually looks really good on the Steam Deck at 1280 by 800. Let us know in the comments below if you're going to be diving into this one. We're certainly going to be keeping an eye on it. And this is also coming to GeForce now, so we will have a look at a comparison on Steam Deck very soon. I'll leave you with a bit more of the gameplay here without me talking, so you can get a better feel for the game and performance. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of the video.